good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you're calling in from. Thank you for joining us in today's HeatPro VCA 3.0 technologies. My name is Justin Sutran, and I'll be your host for today's webinar. We'll be going through the configuration temperature measurement in regards to how we configure this particular system on the device itself. If you have any further questions or concerns, feel free to reach out via email, which will be training.canada@hikvision.com, which you'd be able to send those particular inquiries to us, and we'll be able to respond back accordingly. This particular segment itself will be basic overview in regards to configuring measurement with the HeatPro series. We're going to basically take you through how to start up the device itself and some of the requirements to get you up and running. So without further ado, we will get started. I have my SADP tool already open. Notice that I have the camera already being detected. And I'm just going to log into the IP address of the device. Basically takes me into the actual web interface. Okay, so here's actually showing the live view portion of the camera. And what we're going to do is we're basically going to start off with the configuration settings at the top of the menu. One of the first things that we want to do is ensure that we have the time zone correctly set. Which you notice here, we have our Eastern time zone, we can select. And we have our NTP server time, which allows us to sync all our local devices on the network, ensuring that they're all on the same synced time and whatnot. We can perform a particular test, ensuring that the information is succeeded when we sync that information. Here's our save. To ensure that information is saved afterwards, go ahead and do that. The other area that we want to particularly focus on is the DST, which is the daylight savings time. Okay, so just make sure we click that it's enabled, and typically depending on which zone you are, it's set for here in Canada. In Ontario, the start time March, and it's set as the second week Sunday. And then we have November, which is the end time, first Sunday of the week. Okay. DST bias just basically gives us a flexibility in regards to the leeway, depending on which part of the time zone you're in, to make any correction errors. We could go ahead and select that here as well. It's also important to go back to the time settings, ensure as well that everything's all correct and all time synced, whatnot, before we move forward. Sometimes the information may change as we make other configurations and so on, so ensuring that the time zone is also correct as well. Okay. Next thing we want to do now is we're going to toggle over to the unit settings. Okay, and the unit settings, depending of course where you're from, here in Canada we use the Celsius temperature unit. You can toggle down that as well between Celsius and Fahrenheit. As far as the distance unit is concerned, we are measuring this particular segment in centimeters because we are in close proximity with our camera, but you also have the option for meters and also feet. In this case, we're going to select centimeters, and we're going to go ahead and select save. As we scroll down under the system settings, we're going to walk through the maintenance option as well. Okay, so the maintenance option here allows us to select the VCA resource type. And this particular area here allows us to configure a variety of options depending on what type of data we're looking to capture. In this case, we're going to be capturing behavior analysis based on the device and the attributes we're looking to capture. We also have the option for open platform, which allows us to integrate with third-party applications or devices, and then along with fire detection if we're looking for a specific analysis based on heat, signature, smoke, and whatnot. In this case, we'll select the option for behavior analysis, and we'll select save. If we scroll down here under the video and audio, we have the option here that we can select between the two different channels for our camera. This particular camera, which I have displayed here, is one of our HeatPro series, and this is the 2TD 1228 camera, okay, which is more of our turret style application, and you notice it has two different stream settings. One is for optical, and the other one is for thermal. So we have optical, thermal, and then we also have our incandescent light as well for notification purposes, alarm events, and so on. So in this case, with our channel 1 is supported on the optical, and we have channel 2 supported on the thermal itself. And you notice the settings will change depending on which we're looking to configure and so on. Here are the different parameters here we have for video, audio, the resolution that's being chosen as well, what type of bit rate, if it's variable, it's a constant bit rate, the frames, type of recording we're looking to do, as far as compression, which is defaulted at H.265, and the type of image that we're looking to capture and be able to view, depending if it's a smooth surface, clear surface, or whatnot, allowing us to better define what's being captured in the picture. So in this case, we can go ahead and select Save. Then we're going to head over to the image settings. So through the image settings here, and you'll notice that I'm here in the camera view as well in my office. Okay. Again, we can go ahead and toggle the different options between camera 1, which is our optical viewing, and camera 2, which is our thermal view. Okay. In this case, we're going to go ahead and configure the thermal viewing based on the temperature thresholds that we can select. Okay. So under channel 2, which is thermal, we can go ahead and select our different color palettes. Right? So here we can go ahead and define and select if a target color is above 35 degrees, we wish this particular color palette, red, to be displayed. We can also configure different colors as well. Blue, showing anything above 35 degrees, or any other color as well. In this case, we'll default to red. Save. We can also set the minimal threshold as well. Anything below 20 degrees, we also want it to show a specific color, which can also be changed for your liking. Here in between, we can define the pre-alarm color that in any event there is an alarm event that may occur, and we want to be able to receive notification prior to the extreme condition, whether it's orange or any other color that we choose from. We can also define that between color as well. We can go ahead and save that information here. So you'll notice here, I'll select between, I'll select save. Now you'll notice that here by my window cell around the frame that it's pretty cold in that particular area. So now it's showing green, letting you know that that particular area is a cold zone and whatnot. And of course, by self-bodily temperature is showing in red as well. So we can go ahead and hit save in that particular area. The other area we want to take a look at is the picture-in-picture as well, overlay. So we can want to be able to identify other areas within that particular picture and have two pictures in one, basically showing the optical and thermal in one particular view. And we could select that here in the picture-in-picture mode. So from our optical, we're going to go ahead and select our thermal here application 2 here as well. And then under our picture-in-picture mode, instead of normal, we're going to go ahead and select details overlay. Okay. I'll just show optical here. And then our details overlay. Here's the fusion distance. Basically it's letting you know what the distance is we're looking to capture from this particular area. So in this case, the minimum that we have is 1 meter, which is set. Okay. And we can select save. Okay. So in this case here, if I toggle through my optical, you'll see the image selection here. There would be overlay, details overlay too as well. So here's the option here between normal and the details overlay picture here. Okay. Go ahead and you can select the save option. Under the event area, okay, we can select the basic event. Okay, and the basic event itself will allow you to configure the alarm output, whether the incandescent light will be flashing or we want it to remain on from a solid point of view. We can set the duration of that particular flashing light and as well as the frequency on how quick, how fast, how slow that light will be flashing along with the brightness. Okay. We can also create and configure a particular schedule based on when this particular alarm condition may occur as well. Go ahead and save that information, need be. The other area we want to focus on is we also have the alarm audible output too as well. So the alarm audible output, we can select on how we want this particular behavior to occur, whether it's through VCA, temperature measurement, or fire-related smoking detection. We can also create a sound type. So an audio output can also commence with either a warning option, which is defaulted as a template, or we can create a custom audio. So if we select warning and we test,
warning, this is a restricted area.
We can create that audible based on a particular alarm output and event that may occur. Again, we can also create a custom type of audio by uploading a particular file and adding it. We can have that enunciate through a specific number of times and as well as the volume. And we can also create a particular schedule based on that particular event condition too as well. And of course, go ahead and save that information. Next area we want to take a look at is the temperature measurement condition. And these are particular areas that we want to ensure to capture the thresholds of the temperature being displayed on the actual screen itself. So a couple of things you want to make sure that we have is we want to, of course, enable temperature management. And by doing so, allows us to go through a configuration guide for you to follow step by steps. So creating the pre-alarm threshold and then the alarm threshold, right? So again, as I mentioned before, when we've created the colors on the palette, we have the red showing the alarm condition. Pre-alarm condition is the gradual place. So there may be, again, smoke in place that we can create as a pre-alarm, and then the fire or flame may be the alarm condition afterwards, which we can set as the alarm threshold. linkage, right? So basically, once the alarm condition occurs, how is the customer going to be notified, right? Either sending that to the surveillance center, central station, or video monitoring station, or we can send that via email as well. We can create an audible output or a flashing alarm output as well, depending on the triggers being used on the recording device. And basically, you can confirm by testing the device itself, ensuring that everything's up to speed and whatnot. Here we also ensure that you enable the color temperature too as well. And along with the display temperature on the optical channel, along with the max and minimum temperatures which we want to have displayed on the live view too as well. Here are the temperature ranges that we can select. Okay, we can also configure. So here we have it defaulted to minus 20 to 150 degrees Celsius. Again, our unit, which is defaulted to Celsius. And then we have the enable reflect light filter, which we can toggle on and off. This is key area that we want to select because we want to ensure that whatever the camera is looking to point at and capture, that there's no additional reflection of light being bounced back into the camera that could obstruct the view of any sort. So we have the enable reflect light filter turned on, and especially if we have different services which may be rough or round or more of a reflective type, we want to be able to enable that to reduce the exposure. We can then select save. I'm just going to scroll back up. Under our temperature unit, we also can go through the advanced settings. So with our advanced settings here, okay, you'll notice now that we have displayed our temperature thresholds that we've set, right? So we have our 20 degrees Celsius, which was low, and then we have 37.5 degrees Celsius on the high note too as well, okay? Under configuration, go ahead and basically select between the normal and the export modes here to set. One thing to keep in mind is that the more smoother the objects will have more of a reflective view. The other thing to also take note is that thermal cameras are typically not capable of seeing through walls. We're only looking at the heat signature being emitted from an object. So it's a bit of a misconception there, where, you know, we show and display these type of images via movies, shows or whatnot that thermal can view through walls, you know, concrete, whatever the case may be, and it's not the case. So it can only be done through a heat emitting object, which is in the front of the display itself. So under the configuration and expert mode is where we can basically configure that particular temperature area. And what we want to do is when we scroll down, you'll notice that we have the different tilts, whatnot rotate depending on the camera. If it's a BTZ camera or not, we can create customized preset templates depending on where the camera needs to be focused or adjusted as well. Here are the different areas that we can select on what we want to capture. So if we, for example, enable a particular area, we can create a particular point of interest. We can create an area. We can create a line too as well for particular intrusion detection. Okay. And then we can also set our thresholds here as well. Okay. Based on the alarm temperature, if it's above this particular temperature, again, we want to create that particular rule that we've created, and as well as alarm outputs. So we can draw a particular area based on what we want to capture. And if there's multiple images or detection areas that we want to capture, we can also create that below here as well. In this case, we'll go ahead and select save.
Temperature abnormality. Please deal with it as soon as possible.
Right.
Temperature abnormality. Please deal with it as soon as possible. Temperature
So I'll give you an idea. I'll show you.
Please deal with it as soon as
Camera
possible.
itself.
Temperature abnormality. Please deal with it as soon as possible. Temperature abnormality. Please deal with it as soon as possible.
Camera itself is actually flashing out, right?
Please deal with it as soon as
Based on the detection zone that I've created and the audible alarm that I've also created here as well.
Please deal with it as soon as possible. Temperature abnormality. Please deal with it as soon as possible. Temperature abnormality. Please
So we'll
deal
go
with it
ahead
as soon as
and
possible.
do
Temperature
that.
abnormality. Please deal with it as soon as possible. Temperature abnormality. Please deal with it as soon as possible. Temperature abnormality.
So that's basically how we've created and configured
Temperature abnormality. Please deal with
that
it as
particular
soon as
setting
possible.
itself.
Temperature abnormality. Please deal with it as soon as possible.
I'm just going to clear here. There we go. Right, so that's how we've created a particular detection zone in a particular area of that particular image. Okay, and again, you'll notice that we've had the temperature thresholds earlier stated for our minimum and our above values, which were also being displayed. So under our live view settings, right, being that this is a thermal camera, we have the ability now to view two images in one, which shows us our optical view and also shows us our thermal view and settings too here as well. Again, like any type of other camera, we have our playback option here too as well for any type of recorded playback. Our picture image in regards to images that's being stored and retrieved. And then back to our configuration guide here as well. One of the important things too as well is that the first time around when you view this particular camera at first, you will have to download the plugin in order for the video to be displayed. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Okay, otherwise you won't see any video, just a black screen. Okay, and that pretty much takes us through a basic rundown of our camera settings for our HeatPro VCA Thermal. Again, very basic setup. Again, don't want to get too granular, whatnot, in regards to a lot of the feature sets, whatnot. But this is basically a basic rundown in regards to how to configure the system. If you have any more questions or concerns, by all means, feel free to reach out via the email that's listed there. I'd be more than happy to set aside some time to go through a full-blown training on this particular device, and be more than happy to work with any type of projects as well that you have in place. Okay. I would like to thank everyone for joining in this particular training segment. My name is Justin Sutran from Learning Development here at Hikvision, and I'd like to thank you everyone for joining. Take care, everyone.